Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, so if you're in the building game, you probably know this feeling. You want to grow, right?
Absolutely. That's the MB.
But that dream, it can turn into, well, just more headaches. Your margins get thinner, stress goes way up. And
Yeah,
you sort of feel like you're losing control over the whole thing you're trying to build. Sound familiar?
it definitely resonates. That drive to expand, take on bigger, maybe better projects.
Yeah.
It's great.
But
But if you don't have the right foundations underneath, it just feels like you're putting out fires all day, doesn't it? Not really steering the ship.
exactly. And that really brings us to what we're digging into today. We've been looking at what separates the builders who just, struggle through growth versus those who actually make it work profitably.
Yeah, how do some of these Australian construction companies manage it?
Yeah.
We've looked at examples like Hedger Constructions. They've grown to about 70 people doing really high-end projects.
Impressive scale.
And C&I Construction, they're handling projects up to $15 million. And get this, an 82% repeat client rate. That's huge. 82%.
Yeah.
So how do they do it? It looks almost easy from the outside sometimes.
Well, what's really interesting is it's definitely not luck. Our deep dive, looking at these award-winning builders, it shows some very practical, repeatable strategies.
Okay, so what are we focusing on?
We're going to get into getting really clear, real-time visibility over your money, your financials.
True.
Implementing systems that are actually designed to scale with you, not break under pressure.
Right.
Using technology smartly, so it's a real advantage, not just another cost. And this is important, spotting those common traps that just, kill your profit.
Okay, so the goal here is really to help you understand how you can grow your business, but keep that quality you're known for.
Keep profitable.
And actually build a company that works for you, not the other way around.
Exactly. A business that serves your life too. All right. So let's dive straight in. A make or break area for any business, especially construction.
No.
Your money. Knowing where it is, exactly when it happened.
Not weeks or months down the track.
We're talking about moving past that old way, right? The month-end reporting cycle.
Yeah, that's history for the really successful ones. It's about embracing real-time financial control.
Why is that lag so bad?
Well, think about it. If you wait weeks to understand the true cost of something on a job, you're always looking backward. You're reacting, not managing.
And that's where things just snowball, isn't it?
Totally.
Like you might not find out about say, a $50,000 invoice that got missed.
Until it's way too late.
Or cost overruns. They could be chewing through your profit margin for weeks before you even see it on a report.
And variations. Don't get me started. Chasing those down after the fact is a nightmare if you don't track them immediately.
It's like trying to drive down a busy road blindfolded, basically.
It is. And savvy builders, they recognize this delay, this lack of information. It's a massive risk.
So what does real-time control actually look like?
It means getting a daily, maybe even hourly snapshot of your project finances. You can track variations the moment they're approved or even discussed.
Okay.
You can compare your actual spend against the budget right now. See exactly where you stand, get an instant feel for your profitability on that job.
So it's not just about having tidy numbers.
Not at all. It's about having the power to make smart decisions now, before a little issue blows up into a big, expensive problem.
And C&I Construction story, you mentioned them earlier, it really highlights this, doesn't it?
It really does. They moved to real-time control using a platform called Bizprac. And the difference for them was, well, pretty significant.
How so? What did they change?
Okay, so picture this. Their credit card feeds come straight into the system automatically.
No manual entry?
Nope. Labor costs. Captured through digital timesheets, so less paper, less errors, costs assigned straight to jobs.
Huge time saver, I bet.
And they put in clear purchase order workflows, so spending is controlled before it happens.
Right, makes sense.
And the impact. Sean from C&I, he put it really well. He said, we can pull information out instantly now. We get a real sense of job costs and budget position right when we need it.
Instantly, that's the key word there.
Exactly. And he also said, previously, we were looking at numbers quarterly. Imagine that.
Quarterly.
Now, he says, we're getting live management information across every project and P&L. It lets us make changes quickly when needed.
That ability to pivot, to adjust course quickly, that's a massive competitive edge.
Huge.
So, okay, for you listening right now, how can you start moving towards this kind of financial clarity? Let's maybe outline an action plan.
Good idea. First step,
Yeah.
you've got to audit your current system, honestly.
Okay, what does that involve?
Ask yourself, how long does it actually take from when a cost hits materials delivered, labor worked, to when you see it in your job cost report.
Right. Be honest about that time lag.
Where are the holdups, the bottlenecks, data entry, waiting for invoices, approvals.
And critically, what financial information are you basically flying blind on right now, or only getting way too late to do anything about?
Yeah, what are those blind spots? Then, after that audit, you need to define what you actually need.
Set your requirements.
Exactly. What level of visibility would genuinely empower you? Daily costs, weekly profit snapshots.
Which systems need to talk to each other, like estimating to project management to accounting? Where does data need to flow automatically?
And who needs access? Your project managers, site supervisors, accounts team. What information does each person need? And importantly, what shouldn't they see?
Good point. Security and roles. Okay, and the third step,
And you got to think practically. Implementation.
the nuts and bolts.
Yeah. What processes need to change to make real-time happen? How will you handle purchase orders differently, or timesheets or variations?
What tech do you need? Is it upgrading your current software, getting something new, making existing tools work better together?
And training. Can't forget training. How will you get your team comfortable and proficient with any new ways of working or new tools?
And finally, a timeline. Be realistic. How long will this take to roll out properly?
Taking those steps, even just starting the audit, can really begin to tighten your grip on the financials. It's foundational.
Absolutely foundational. Okay, so once you've got a better handle on the money, the next big hurdle that trips up growing builders, scaling the actual operations without, everything falling apart. Quality slip.
Oh yeah, this is where so many hit a wall. You win more work, which is great. You hire more people.
This is progress.
But then suddenly, that consistency, the quality that built your reputation, it starts to wobble.
Why does that happen?
Well, the informal ways you manage things when you were smaller, maybe just shouting across the office or relying on Bob who knows everything, they just don't work anymore.
Communication breaks down.
Big time. Documentation gets inconsistent or it just doesn't happen. And you become dangerously reliant on a few key people holding all the knowledge in their heads.
Yeah, the hero employee model doesn't scale.
Doesn't scale, and it's risky. It
Mhm.
becomes a real pressure cooker.
So how do companies like Hedger Constructions manage this? You mentioned their approach.
Yeah, they have a really clear framework. They call it their 3 pillars of growth. It's quite insightful.
Okay, pillar one.
Pillar 1 is systemize everything. Simple concept, hard work to implement.
What does that mean in practice?
It means creating standard, documented processes for all the key stuff. How you handle RFIs, variations, site inductions, quality checks, everything.
Consistency.
Exactly. Clear documentation everyone can access, consistent communication methods, and built-in quality checkpoints all the way through a project. It's about making quality repeatable, not accidental.
Okay, pillar two.
People first. They recognize that systems are only as good as the people using them.
Makes sense.
So they invest heavily in proper training right from onboarding. They create clear career paths so people can see a future.
Keeps them motivated.
Fosters a strong company culture. And they really prioritize ongoing team development. They see their team as a key asset for maintaining quality as they grow.
Right, not just cogs in the machine. And pillar three.
Pillar 3 is technology as the backbone. This is what holds the systems and the people together effectively.
How so?
They aim for a single source of truth. One reliable place where all the project information lives, plans, variations, schedules, financials.
Accessible to everyone who needs it.
Yes. And they focus on integrating their systems so data flows smoothly. They want that real-time visibility we talked about across all operations, not just finance. And using tech to automate the routine stuff, freeing people up.
Sharon Hedger, what was her take on this?
Yeah, she had a great perspective. She said, when we were smaller, we could manage with basic systems, which is true for many.
Yeah.
But, she said, as soon as we started getting more projects, more people, we needed proper systems to ensure everyone was doing the right thing. That's that conscious decision point.
Recognizing when the old way isn't enough anymore.
Exactly. And she really highlighted the integration piece, too. Said something like, we've got about 70 people now covering most of Victoria. That's a big operation.
Huge spread.
But what makes it work, she explained, is having everything in one spot with Bizprac, all your variations, plans, everything. One system that everyone can access and understand.
That central hub of information is gold when you're managing multiple teams and projects. Avoid so many mistakes.
Absolutely. Consistency, accuracy, less confusion.
Okay, so if you're listening and feeling those scaling pains, let's map out a kind of scaling blueprint, some steps to consider.
Good plan. First, like with the financials, you need an honest assessment. Document your current state.
Where do you start?
Look at your critical processes. Which ones depend almost entirely on one or two key people? If they won the lottery tomorrow, would that process collapse?
Yeah, the lottery test.
Where do quality issues tend to pop up most often? Which parts of the process seem weakest?
And think about handovers. Project manager to site supervisor, site team to admin. Where do things get missed or information get lost in translation?
Exactly. Map out the weaknesses. Then, step 2. Design your ideal state.
What does good look like?
Yeah. What would clear standard operating procedures look like for your key stages? Design, pre-construction, site management, handover.
Where would you put formal quality control checks, not just relying on checking at the end?
What communication protocols would make sure everyone, office, site, subcontractors, is always on the same page?
And what kind of training does your team need, not just now, but as you continue to grow?
Thinking ahead. Then the third part is choosing your tools.
The technology again.
Yep. What do you need from a project management perspective as jobs get bigger or more complex?
What level of financial control ties into that? We talked about real time.
What reports do you need to see? How will you track performance, spot trends, identify problems early?
And crucially, how well do these tools integrate? Can you build that seamless flow, that single source of truth Hedger talked about? Or will you end up with data silos?
That integration point is key to avoiding creating new problems while solving old ones.
Definitely. And for anyone wanting a deeper look at Hedger Constructions, you mentioned they have a video case study.
That's right. It gives a really good visual on how they've put these pillars into practice. Should be able to find a link or maybe a QR code around here somewhere to check that out.
Great resource. Okay, so systems and people are crucial and technology underpins it. Let's talk more specifically about that tech piece because getting it wrong can be painful.
Oh, absolutely. The technology trap. It's real.
What does that look like?
It looks like investing a ton of money in some complex software that nobody really uses properly because it's just too complicated.
Or you end up with multiple different platforms that don't talk to each other, so you're still doing double data entry.
Exactly. Or paying for a whole load of bells and whistles, features you just don't need, while missing the core functionality that would actually help.
And fighting the software's workflow instead of it supporting yours, that's frustrating.
Hugely frustrating.
Oh,
Think
yeah.
about the before picture. Double data entry, manually reconciling things, maybe only getting that clear financial view quarterly, like C&I used to.
Admin teams spending hours, days even, just getting invoices collated and sent out.
Yeah, all that inefficiency. Now contrast that with the after, when tech is chosen and implemented well.
What's the after?
One integrated system. Data flows automatically. Estimating talks to project management, talks to accounts, payable talks to payroll.
Seamless.
Invoicing is streamlined, maybe even automated partially. You've got that real-time view of costs, budgets, variations.
And you can pull out insightful reports quickly, easily, see the health of your business at a glance.
The right tech should be like adding horsepower to your business, not an anchor dragging you down.
And C&I construction, again, they seem to have navigated this well.
They did. And their focus, interestingly, wasn't necessarily on getting the absolute cutting-edge, most complex system.
What was their focus then?
Practicality. Solutions their team could actually pick up and run with fairly easily. Things that solved real problems they were facing day to day.
That echoes what Sharon Hedger said, doesn't it?
It does. She said, "We looked at other options. Some were far more technical.
Right.
But we needed something our team could actually use." That's such a key insight.
Because fancy features are useless if nobody uses them.
Precisely. She added, "Many of our people started as apprentices and worked their way up. They need practical solutions. Know your team. Know what will work for them."
So, okay, if you're evaluating tech options now, how do you avoid that trap? How do you choose wisely?
Start with problems, not features. That's my advice.
Okay, what does that mean?
Don't get dazzled by a long list of software features first. Instead, ask, what tasks are sucking up the most time for my team right now? Where do errors happen most often?
Which processes feel completely out of control or lack visibility?
What information is really hard to get your hands on when you need it? Identify your actual pain points.
Then look for tech that solves those problems.
Exactly. Next, evaluate based on reality, not just the sales pitch.
Meaning?
Ask honestly, will my team actually use this day in, day out? Does it genuinely fit how we work, or will it force us into awkward workarounds?
Is the support good? And importantly, is it local? Australian-based support understands the context. QBCC rules, payroll nuances.
Big plus. And how does the pricing work? Especially as you grow, does it scale reasonably? Or will the costs jump massively when you add more users or projects?
You don't want your software bill to stifle your growth.
No. And finally, plan for success. Don't just buy the software and hope for the best.
What does that involve?
Understand the implementation requirements, what's involved in setup, data migration,
Training needs, we mentioned that before, it's crucial.
integration capabilities.
Yeah.
How well will it connect with other essential tools you use, maybe accounting software or estimating?
And does it have room to grow with you? Can it handle more projects, more users, maybe more complex financials down the line?
Remember, the goal isn't the most features. It's the right features, implemented well, that solve your specific business challenges.
That's a great summary. Which kind of brings us back to why builders like Hedger and CNI chose a platform like Bizprac. Their stories really seem to tie these threads together.
They really do. Their success highlights those three key areas we've discussed for growing sustainably, don't they?
Yeah, number one, getting that real-time financial control.
Number two, building quality into your system so they can actually scale.
And number three, making smart, practical technology choices that support the first two.
And for them, Bizprac seemed to be a system that helped integrate all three of those effectively.
What specific things did they point to as benefits?
Well, being able to manage different business entities, if they have them, all in one place was a plus.
Okay.
Seeing those job costs in real time as they happen, that was massive for C&I especially.
The integrated platform idea, covering the whole workflow from, say, quoting and estimating right through to payroll and final accounts.
Yeah, reducing that double handling. And the fact it was built by people who actually understand the Australian construction industry, 45 years of experience behind it, apparently.
That industry knowledge helps.
Definitely. Things like being ready for trust account requirements,
Mhm.
like QBCC compliance in Queensland.
Yeah.
It's built in.
And having that ongoing Australian-based support available when you need it.
Yeah, that peace of mind is valuable.
But it's crucial to remember, like you said earlier, these companies, Hedger and CNI, they didn't just flip a switch overnight.
No, absolutely not. This is a result of deliberate, strategic decisions. They identified where you needed to improve, where they needed to invest, particularly in systems and the right tech to build a more robust, efficient, and ultimately scalable business.
Right. It's a journey, not just a destination.
Exactly.
So as we kind of wrap up this deep dive, maybe a final thought for everyone listening.
I think the main takeaway is this. Building a truly thriving construction business, one that grows profitably and sustainably, it isn't really about luck. It's not just about working harder and harder either.
What is it about then?
It's fundamentally about mastering these core business principles, getting the foundations right.
So maybe take a second now and think. Which of these areas we've covered today, is it getting that real-time financial grip? Is it building more scalable, quality-focused systems? Or is it making smarter tech choices? Which one holds the biggest opportunity for your business right now?
Where could you make the most positive impact?
And if exploring how a platform like Bizprac might fit into that picture sounds interesting, we encourage you to, check them out.
Yeah, you can find them online at bizprac.com. That's biz-prac.adri.com.
Or you can email them, sales@bizprac.com.au.
Or just give them a call, 1-800-009-970.
And they're actually offering something quite useful, a personalized 30-minute growth session, no obligation.
Yeah, a chance to chat about your specific business, your challenges, and see how you might get better control.
You should be able to book that using a QR code if you see one, or maybe check the link in the show notes.
Definitely worth exploring if you're serious about growth.
Okay, and maybe one final thought to leave you with.
Go on.
What if the real key to unlocking significant growth, the kind you actually want, isn't about you personally working harder or longer hours, but it's about getting the right systems and the right technology working for you, providing that clarity, that control, and ultimately building a more profitable and sustainable future for your business.
Something to think about. Thanks for diving deep with us today.